Hey there's your Wisconsin Wine Guy, and welcome to this on-demand tastings that I created for you on YouTube with wines, compliments of Wine Insider. Turn it around here. Wine Insiders Wines and WineInsiders.com. There's a link down in the description below that you can click and receive a discount on the wines when you order, and you can do this wine tasting with me step by step. Now, the wines that we're tasting is part of a set curated by Martha Stewart. Yes, I say it again, that Martha Stewart. And these wines, as she called this, the Martha Stewart's holiday selection, or a holiday set of wines. These are wines that she recommends for you to have throughout the holidays. You know, again, that information is right there on WineInsiders.com. So we are in part 2 of our series of 6 wines that we had from this, and we're in part 2, and we're going to be tasting both red and both white. You know, so that first taste was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed the wines, and I'm looking forward to tasting these. Just pulled the Sauvignon Blanc out the refrigerator, so that is nicely chilled. You can see none of the wines open, so I'm opening them first time for you, so we get a immediate response. How about that? So now let's talk about the supplies. Supplies are, I have my wine glasses, I have my how to taste sheet, and we're going to go through the processes of tasting wines so you can get a true evaluation of the wines. Now, I have the wines, of course. I got more corkscrew to open the wines. Maybe your wine's already open, but that's okay. Maybe you even already had a sip. That's okay too, right? And now I also have my Haley's corkers. You know, these are cork-based wines and not screw caps. This is so I can reseal my wine and also help keep the wine fresh. All right, I have my note sheet, you know, for the wines. When I write down my notes, if you have a note sheet, because you're going to compare your notes with what I come up with. For those of you that are new, this is a taste at your own pace type of on-demand tasting. Meaning, I'm going to have parts of the video where I say, here's where you can stop the video. And then when you return to the video, I would have kept going forward, but you can compare whatever step or phase you can compare what you wrote or what you thought versus what I thought and wrote. But you want to get to see that, I'll tell you what I wrote, right? All right, so now without further ado, let's talk about the wines we're going to be tasting in part 2. Again, this is a California wine tasting series from Martha Stewart's holiday wine selection. All right, so we're going to do the Sierra Trails 2018 Zinfandel. Oh, let me rephrase that. Old Vine Zinfandel. We'll talk about that a little bit. Old Vine Zinfandel. Did we do a Zinfandel blend in the first video? Right? So this is going to be very interesting. I should have had those two side by side. Then next we're going to be doing a 2020, it's like 1 year old, 2020 Sauvignon Blanc from Spencer Family Vineyards. All right, both out of California. Let's get these wines open. And, you know, I'm going to open the Zinfandel first in this case. So if you have your wines opened already, that's great. If not, now you can open your wines. So if you want to know how to use, check this out, a 2-step corkscrew. I did a video on this on the YouTube channel inside of tips, you know, or questions, Q&As, wine Q&As, and using the 2-step corkscrew. Get a little hints there, 2-step corkscrew. I have an old school one. So this is like when they first came out, right? So I'm using the serrated knife now, you know, to cut my foil. When you cut that foil, you're going to cut right underneath the neck, or the lip, you want to call it, right? Because you don't want any of that foil. You see what happens? You don't want any of that foil to interact with your wine when you pour it. I'm going to do both of these right away. Ooh, that wine is nice and cold. I want to get this Sauvignon Blanc while it's cold. So I have this Sauvignon Blanc like really chilled, right? Because Sauvignon Blancs can be very aggressive, but in a good way, as far as this taste and acidity goes. You know, so that chilling it, you know, just makes it even more crisper and mouth-watering. All right, now, so we have our cork. I like to put my cork in, start it in the center, but at a little slight angle. Get it in, twist, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you don't want is for the cork to go, for the corkscrew to go through the cork and hit the wine. All right. I do the 2 steps. I should show you that. I'll show you the second one. Then I pull out the rest. All right. Get a look at that. Ooh. And I notice I smell the cork. I smell the cork to make sure that there's no funny business going on with the wine already, right? So it gives you a slight indication. That smells nice and fruity. Ooh, a little smoke going on there. So there's my Zinfandel cork. Toss in my Haley's corker so I can recork this. Keep that open. Now, so here we go. We put that in, slight angle in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4 turns. So we have 2 steps here. Here's the first hinge right here, right? Then we do the second. First, here, 1, right? Lift. It is automatically snap on. 2, then pull out the rest. Voila. Very easy. I mean, I'm old school. Wow, smell. Ooh. On this cork here, there was some like fennel. Then it just dissipated. It just went away. As soon as it hits the air, you got to get it quick because it just goes away. But I'm old school. I use a cork to open my corkscrew to open my wines, not the rabbit or anything like that. I mean, I live and die by this. Throw my Haley's corker in. There you go. Tools are ready. Wines are open. Let's get it poured. Now, at the end, we have phases. Look, smell, taste, spit, and swallow. This is the tasting process. I don't spit. Okay, you decide what you want to do. If you're in a group and you guys want to spit, we only have 2 wines, but it's still your choice, your decision. Maybe you don't like it, so you're going to spit it out. Then I have think. The think phase is where we're going to start talking about the grade. You know, we're going to utilize my infamous thumb rating system. You know, that's where the think phase come in for us in this on-demand style tasting. Let's get the wines poured. Our Sauvignon Blanc poured into the glass. Now I have, you know, I like to call these are my standard tasting glasses. They're about 10.5 ounces. I know it doesn't look like it, but I pour about 2 to 2.5 ounces of wine. Sometimes I drink more than what I need when I'm doing these demonstrations, but I pour enough in there to go through the process at least once or twice. We're going to start. Ooh, this is tough. Now, normally the tasting process is white to red, dry to sweet, with some exceptions. Now, I never had these wines before. I gotta pour some more of the red in. I never had these wines before, so I'm not quite sure how this Sauvignon Blanc is gonna do if I were to do the white first in this case, if it's going to kill the acidity in the red. So because I have that idea in mind, I'm gonna go red first. Yes, it's out of the ordinary. It's unorthodox. But I'm going to go red first because I don't want, if any acidity here is like dominant, it's going to just make this so flat. So we're going to go to Old Vine Zinfandel first. Now, Zinfandel. When I think about Zinfandels, I think about, you know, bold. I think about full. I think about, you know, the richness and taste of fruit. All right, that's what I think about. Zinfandel, you know, and especially Old Vine. We're talking extreme of those, you know, but also delicious and complex. You know, if it's aged in oak, you know, just very nice, you know. And when I think Old Vine Zinfandel, you know, California has a deep history with Zinfandel for those who don't know. But when I think Old Vine Zinfandel, I'm talking like maybe 40 or 50 years or more or beyond that. You know, that's Old Vine Zinfandel to me. You know, and so I'm expecting to taste true maturity in a grapevine, right? If you have a vine and you're making wine from it that's over 50 years old, you don't want to over fine it. You know, you don't want to over clarify. You want that substance to be there. Right? That, you see, I did it, right? So here we go. We're going to do our look first. What we're looking for, we're looking to see if there's any floaties in our wine. Maybe it's cork, maybe it's something else. If it's something you don't recognize, then you may have a problem, all right? There may be tartaric acids, you know, which is like little crystals in the bottom. Those are okay, all right? That's just like sugar crystals, all right? That exist because maybe the wine was stored too cold, all right? But we're looking for that. You don't have any nasty films, you know. And we're also looking at its clarity, you know, its brilliance. You know, it's a nice clear wine, you know, so that's beautiful. We're also looking at its color. So we have our white background. We're going to tilt that wine, and we're going to look at its color. All right. So here we're looking at a kind of a brick red. All right, a brick red towards the top as we come down into garnet color. All right, so this is what vintage 2018. You normally see colors like that in a older wine, right? So this is going to be very interesting. So now we're going to do the look phase. Did you see what I saw, or did you see something different? It's going to be interesting. Hopefully you got a good bottle of wine like I did. Wine Insiders, they treat me great. So now the smell. The smell phase for me is 2 steps, right? If you've been following the videos, you know how it goes. There's 2 steps. First, it's going to be the initial introduction, like quick, right? I want to set my brain registers to focus in on what I smell, focus in on the wine. The second smell is when I take a long inhale, slow inhale, and count about 8 to 10 seconds. And I want the aroma to just roll over my nostril, inside of my nostril, olfactory. I had much wine. Hopefully I said that right. but I wanted to just roll through, you know, my smell sensors, you know, and pick up different things. We're coming in at alcohol at 14.2%, right? Unlike the last one was at 13, but that was a blend. So here we go. We're doing the smell. I'm going to do my first smell. We can do that one together. Okay, there's a setup. Now, here's where you can pause the video. And if you're tasting in a group, you guys can do your smell, your second smell. Maybe you have to smell a few more times. You can write down your notes and compare. When you return, I would have already moved forward, and you can compare your notes to my notes. See you when you return. All right, so now we are going to do smell, my long smell. Oh, wow. Nice, nice, nice. So already I notice a difference in this nose than from the Zinfandel blend from the part 1, right? The first series of the videos. So here's what I get. I get a little spice. I get a dried fruit smell. But I'm not quite sure. I get a little bit of oak nose to it. But it's nicely blended, but more cedary, probably neutral or new. Oh, wow. And then you get like that in the background, I get like a little bit of plum. So that's the nose for me, all right? What did you get? Did you get anything similar? Hopefully. If not, that's okay, because wine is subjective. You're going to smell something completely different than what I'm going to smell, and vice versa. Now we go to the next step in this, which is going to be the taste phase. Now, we're going to go through this slowly with the first one, but the second one, we just like whiz right through it, okay? So now we go to the taste phase. 2-step process for me. Everybody that follows me already knows. First taste is going to be a sip. I'm going to rinse, a complete mouth rinse. In that rinse, I want to taste or feel the acidity in the wine. If it's not lively, to me, that's already a strike. I want to make sure this lively in mouth is watering. This is going to be great, right? That second sip is going to be where I actually taste the wine, and I want to compare what I tasted with what I smelled, and hopefully something more or better, right? So here we go. We're going to do the first sip for the city together, and let's determine if this wine is alive, right? Here we go. All right, mouth is watering. That's a good thing. Tannins, okay, they're there. Not chewy, but they're there. And that's also the surprise you get when you do that complete mouth rinse. Oftentimes, most people drink wine like this, and you're missing out on everything that exists there, right? So that's that part for me. What did you get? Did you have acidity? Were the tannins soft? Were the tannins medium? Were the tannins full or intense? What did you get? All right. So now we go to the second part. Here's where you can pause the video and you can do your taste and you can write down your notes. And when you return, you can compare your notes with mine. If you're tasting in a group, you can compare your notes within the group. And then when you all return, you can see what I had to say about this wine. All right? I'll see you when you return. I'm going to keep going. So now, I'm going to do my actual taste of the wine. I did the rinse phase. I'm focused on this wine. I'm honed in on this wine. And now I want to find out if what I smelled is going to be comparable to what I taste or more, right? Here we go. Okay. Now, sometimes you have to taste the wine maybe a couple of times, maybe 3 times, just to come to a full consensus about the wine. And I need to taste this again. All right. Now, it was better for me on the second sip. Nice tannins. Fruit is all around, okay? 14% alcohol, not so much, in the feel, so that's a good thing right there. That's not heavy on alcohol. We're looking for balance here. We talk about balance, talk about the components in the wine. The alcohol, is it out of whack? The acidity, is it out of whack? The sweet, the sugar, ripe fruit or sugar, is it out of whack? Tannins, is it out of whack? Everything should come together. And that's what I'm tasting for when I do this, right? Give one more taste here. All right, now, because we're talking about up north, rather down south where it's warmer, we're not going to get those heavy laden infidels. And we're talking about an old vine infidel. It's not overly extracted. It's not, very dense, but it's very elegant. Okay? On the taste, I do pick up those notes of plum more so on the taste than I did on the nose. All right? It has a subtle richness, so more medium body, medium to full, but more leaning towards the medium side. But it's very elegant again. Plum, dark fruit, little dry cherry going on here. Nice medium tannins, but firm, but medium. Has a nice mouthfeel to me. I mean, I'm digging this. I'm really digging this. You do pick up on some cedar notes, and that's the wood. Okay, it could be because of new oak or new wood. All right, so you did pick up on some of those. I bet you with food, this is probably great. But we're not going to talk about that. We get to the think phase. We did the spit swallow. I swallowed. What did you do? We're going to move on to the white wine, the Sauvignon Blanc, Spencer Family Vineyard Sauvignon Blanc. We're going to go through the processes rather quickly, and then we'll come back in the think phase on both our wines and do our thumb rating system. Wow. So maybe you already wrote down what you thought about this wine, but I'm not going to tell you why until the end. So here we go. We're going to do that look. We're looking at the wine. There's a nice clarity to the wine. Unlike the Chardonnay in the previous video, where it had those greenish hues to almost like the bottle, this is like a golden yellow. All right, not yellow, but say golden hues. Let's say that. There's no green hints in here. It's just like a nice little golden sunshine. So it starts off clear and starts coming down to the bowl here as being golden hues in it. So that's pretty nice. There's no floaties in the wine. I didn't drop any cork in there. There's no off-looking films in the wine. So now we're gonna smell. So I've been swirling it the whole time, and I can smell that wine. Here's the thing with Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc from France, Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, Sauvignon Blanc from California. They're going to be completely different. France, we're talking more mineral, crisp, acidity, mineral. New Zealand, we're talking zippy citrus, grapefruit. California, we're talking melon notes and and grapefruit, okay, but more subdued, but very well put together. That's what we're talking about. So difference. What we're gonna have in this glass when tasting Sauvignon Blanc. They come from California, but doesn't mean it's gonna be what's typical of California Sauvignon Blancs, right? You never know. So just on swirling, I can smell. From here, I get more melon notes to it. Okay, more fruity melon notes. And then I start picking up citrus. From here, I pick up more citrus rind, right? Or zest, let's say that. Citrus zest from here, all right? Now, let's stick the nose in there. So for me, again, two-step process. There's gonna be the smell, set it up, and then this slow inhale, 8-10 seconds. So here's where you can pause the video, do your smell processes, write down your notes, and when you come back, you can see how your notes compare with what I said. And I'm gonna keep going. See you when you return. All right, so now we're going to do that initial smell. Wow, fresh, fragrant for sure. That initial smell was more citrus than when it was right here. When we put the nose in, more citrus. Now, let's go and try to dig deeper in the smell of this wine. Oh, wow. Maybe 5 to 7 seconds for some. Wow. You know, I don't know if you saw my glass fog. I blew some warm air back in and then smelled it again. And it changed. So here's what I got. So it went from citrus to melon. Okay, so grapefruit, but more like a red grapefruit. There's white grapefruit, there's red grapefruit. There is a difference, everybody, you know, especially when you're tasting it. But you know, when you bite into a grapefruit and you hit one of the pulps, you taste one of the pulps, bite into it, and you get that like, that much sweetness, right? Because the acid is so strong, you only get that much sweetness when you bite into the pulp. But in the red grapefruit, especially if it's ripe, it's perfectly ripe, you get more of that sweetness. That's what I get here on the nose. Ah, nice. But then you get that melon notes. And then there's like candied citrus in the background. So just forever evolving for me, this one here, because I blew that warm air back in out of my nostrils. Now I'm going to do the taste again. Wow. So what did you smell? I just went straight ahead to the taste, right? I went straight ahead to the taste. We're going to go over that. I want to do my rinse. So, right, you wrote down what you smell. How did your smell compare to mine? All right? So I just did the first rinse, which was the acidity. You know, I normally do that together, but I just did it. All right? So you did that. Let's test the acidity. Now let's do it together. Now, something unusual happened here. Acidity is mellow. It's there. Mouth is watering, but it's mellow. But something unusual happened when I tasted that. It is so like relaxing tasting. I can't figure out how to describe it other than I was just, as soon as I tasted it, it was like so relaxed. Wow. So I picked up notes of fennel. When I said that on the nose, I picked up notes of fennel on the taste. Very quick. The grapefruit taste is very mellow. Very mellow, right? I know I skipped the part. You're supposed to, you know, pause and come back. You can still do that and come back. But that I just got overwhelmed because the nose is just so nice. So let's just continue. So you're back now. So I tasted it. And it's going to be more in the realm of the California style Sauvignon Blanc. It's not going to be mineral from France. It's not going to be grapefruit, you know, intense grapefruit from New Zealand. It's going to be mellow, subdued, but have all the elements and the components blending together. You know, that's what I find here in the Spencer Family Vineyard 2020 Sauvignon Blanc. Wow, that's nice. I mean, clean nose, clean taste. We're coming in at 12% alcohol, which is nice. Sweet spot, 12.5, 13.5% sweet spot, when you're drinking wine, that it's not going to be, crazy out of the realm of your palate or just the average palate, but it's really nice, all right? So I'm going to pour a little bit more wine in each of these glasses. So what did you come up with while I pour this wine? How did your notes compare to what I just said, how I described the wine? I'm going to pour a little bit more of each. And now we come to, okay, spit and swallow. I swallowed. You probably spit, or maybe you swallow. But now we come to the think phase. The think phase for me is when we start grading the wines, the infamous thumbs up. It's going to be a thumbs up. It's going to be a 3/4. It's going to be in between. It's going to be half, or it's going to be thumbs down. Again, I'm also glad that I started with the red wine first before the Zinfandel. So now we're going to find out for sure, all right? Because I'm going back to the Zinfandel because that's what we started with. I like to also see how wines play together. So now here's the Zinfandel, old vine Zinfandel. We're trying to determine now what's going to be the grade. That nose is still wonderful. Wow, that plum really comes through. And you know what? It's holding its own against the Sauvignon Blanc. Perfect. Now, after the Sauvignon Blanc, the tannins come out more, but it's not overwhelming. So for the Sierra Trails 2018 Old Vine Zinfandel, I'm going to give this a thumbs up. I'm enjoying this on all sorts of levels, and I'm interested in finding what this is going to be like with food. And I'm not talking steak, although you can use steak. I'm talking simple things. I'm talking just flavor. Not necessarily a type of food, but just flavor. How is this going to work with different flavors is what I'm talking about here. So thumbs up on the 2018 Sierra Trails Zinfandel out of California. Now for the Sauvignon Blanc. Here we go. Spencer Family Vineyard Sauvignon Blanc. It's just a very nice, elegant tasting. I love the way it feels in my mouth. Elegant tasting Sauvignon Blanc. Easy drinking. If you live in a wintertime climate, this will be your wine in a climate where it's snowing. When it's snowing out, have some of this. I'm going to give the Spencer Family Vineyard 2020 Sauvignon Blanc a double thumbs up. Here's why. Because it's elegant. You get the citrus. You get some melon notes. You get a nice mouthfeel. It's not overpowering. It's not overwhelming. There's a nice subtleness to it. It's just this is very nice to drink. So there you have it. What did you come up with? Spencer Family Vineyard, the Wisconsin Wine Guy gives it 2020 double thumbs up. Sierra Trails, Old Vine Zinfandel, the Wisconsin Wine Guy gives it a thumbs up. So there you have it. I'm going to see you next time in a series of wines number 3 of the Martha Stewart Holiday Selection Wines, compliments of Wine Insiders at wineinsiders.com. As always, let your palate be the guide. I'll see you next time. Ciao.